Welcome back, auto lovers. Today, we're diving into a true Soviet icon, a one that rolled out in the shadow of World War II and into the limelight of Cold War elegance. The 1956 GAZ Volga, a car not just driven, but revered. This machine wasn't simply transportation, it was a moving statement. So sit back, relax, and let's travel through time and steel. The GAZ Volga, also known as the GAZ 21A, was born out of necessity and ambition. The Soviet Union needed a new face of mobility for its growing middle and upper classes. And so, Gorkovsky Avtomobilny Zavod, or GAZ, took to the drawing board. What came out wasn't just another car, it was a carefully crafted response to the West's automotive dominance. Released in 1956, the Volga was an upgrade to the GAZ M20 Poboda, and boy, did it turn heads. It was one of the few Soviet cars aimed not just at performance, but at aesthetics and aspiration. It boasted a 2.4-liter inline-4 engine, pushing around 75 horsepower, respectable for its time, and built like a tank. Now let's talk about that exterior. The Volga had presence. It wasn't loud, but it didn't need to be. The body design was clean, flowing, and unmistakably elegant. The early models had a charming deer hood ornament, a symbol of grace and speed, while later one saw it removed for political reasons. The large chrome grille up front resembled American influences, but it maintained a distinct Soviet flavor. The body had a long, wide stance that gave it a sense of authority, with tall fenders and flowing curves. The car wasn't just functional, it was sculptural. The two-tone paint options were limited but tasteful. Most cars came in cream, light gray, black, or pale blue, subtle yet stately. The round headlamps, the side mirrors perched on the fenders, and the white wall tires all added to its commanding aura. Even the chrome side strips gave it a classic Hollywood meets Moscow vibe. Park this next to any 1950s American cruiser and it would hold its own. Step inside and you're welcomed into a different world. The interior was a blend of simplicity and comfort. No flashy tech, no digital nonsense, just analog beauty. The dashboard was metal, painted in matching body tones with large round dials and tasteful lettering. The seats were wide, cushioned, and upholstered in thick cloth or vinyl, depending on the trim level. The steering wheel, massive, with a full horn ring and that vintage GAZ emblem right in the middle. Controls were minimal. No power windows, no climate control, but every knob, switch, and lever had a weight to idle like it was built to last 100 years. The cabin was surprisingly spacious. It could easily seat 5 adults, with tons of legroom in the back. There was an ashtray at every seat. A broken barfer when smoking in the car was still a symbol of elegance. The trunk was huge, enough to carry picnic gear, suitcases, or even spare parts, which, if you owned a Volga back then, you probably did. Now here is where things get interesting. The comfort. For a car built in 1956, the Volga was shockingly smooth on the road. It featured a rugged suspension system designed to handle the worst Soviet roads, from city potholes to gravel countryside lanes. The leaf spring setup in the rear paired with independent front suspension gave it a soft, almost boat-like ride. It was quiet, insulated well enough that you could cruise on a highway and still talk without shouting. Even today, people who restore these say it floats over bumps. The seats were soft but not sloppy. The driving position was upright and formal, like sitting in a salon chair, and it was warm. Russian winters are brutal, but the Volga's heating system was known to be reliable, a real necessity in places where temperatures dropped to 38 degrees C. As for performance, well, it wasn't a race car, but that wasn't the point. The GAZ Volga was about reliable power. The 2.4-liter engine was carbureted and simple by design, but very durable. It put out about 75 horsepower, reached a top speed of around 135 kilometers per hour, that's roughly 83 miles per hour, and could go from 0 to 60 in around 20 seconds. Not impressive by modern standards, but solid back then, especially for Soviet roads and conditions. The 3-speed manual transmission, operated through a column shifter, was smooth once you got used to it. The gear changes were deliberate, mechanical, and satisfying. The steering was heavy at low speeds, since it lacked power assistance, but the car handled predictably. It wasn't nimble, but it was confident. The brakes were drum all-around adequate for the time but demanded respect. One key trait: the engine could run on low-octane fuel, making it perfect for distant provinces where high-quality gas wasn't available. It wasn't fast, but it was strong, and that's what mattered most. The GAZ Volga quickly became a status symbol in the Soviet Union. Doctors, scientists, military officers, they all aspired to own one. It was even used by the KGB, with some models being fitted with more powerful engines and blacked-out trim. That dark Volga was the stuff of urban legends, a car that made people nervous when it pulled up silently. Over time, the car became a piece of history. Even today, the 1956 Volga is sought after by collectors. Restored models can fetch good prices, especially if they have original parts and the iconic deer hood ornament. So what does the 1956 GAZ Volga mean to us now? It's more than a car. It's a rolling museum. It's a time capsule from the post-war era when the Soviet Union tried to match the West, not just in ideology, but in industrial pride. It tells a story of endurance, craftsmanship, and cultural identity. For enthusiasts, it's a dream to restore. For the rest of us, it's a monument to a unique chapter of automotive history. And that's what makes the Volga so special. Whether you're watching from a modern BMW or sitting behind the wheel of your own classic, there's no denying the charm of this Soviet masterpiece. The 1956 GAZ Volga wasn't just made for roads, it was made for stories. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the past. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into classic icons. Until next time, drive safe, and never stop exploring.